right. Context is actually important in court. It is important that the words be written as they were stated and in the context in which they were stated. That is important. Now, I'll give you an example. We'll have ourselves an imaginary person named Alex. Now, some of you might know somebody named Alex, and you might pretend that I'm threatening Alex, but I'm not. Context. Let's say you're telling a story, right? Like, for example, let's say that Mickey Mouse was telling you that he's going to kill Alex, and you were telling it, and Mickey Mouse said, I'm going to kill Alex. And so I came here to tell you guys that Mickey Mouse was threatening to kill Alex. Context. If you take out the first part and the last part, then it's, I'm going to kill Alex. Context. For this judge to intentionally go out of his way to avoid the context shows judicial bias. Now, then there's the fact that Leslie Snell played on her children. That's right. Well, my kids went to school and they said that they saw a video. Well, of course they saw a video. If the kids at school are watching my videos, they're not intended for children. There's a little selector at the bottom. And on every single one of my videos, I click on that, not intended for children. So, if children are watching these videos, that's the parents' fault. You need to take it up with their parents. Now, for the judge to allow it, not only to allow it out of context, but to change the words, that judge is again showing bias. He is intentionally breaking the law at that point. He is intentionally abusing his power at that point. For me to relay a story is not a threat. For me to say that I am not willing to do these things to my predators is not a threat. If people say, you should kill Mickey Mouse, if I was there, I'd kill Mickey Mouse, and so on and so forth. And I say, do I really have to kill Mickey Mouse? Because I'm not willing to do that. And then you take that part. Do I really have to kill Mickey Mouse? And then at the end, the judge is changing it to, I'm going to kill Mickey Mouse. Obviously, that judge is not listening to a goddamn word I had to say. Now, based on how he treated me and not taking the safety issues seriously, going out of his way to change the context himself, that judge is breaking the law. It's not my fault that Leslie Snell's children got to watch that, or that their school peers watched that. That is not my fault. That is not my decision. Now then, Leslie Snell put things out on her Facebook that were public. And guess what? She put that out there. I didn't post it up for her. She put it public. That is in the realm of public domain, is it not? But she wanted to whine about that. Yes, she works at the Dual County Sheriff's Department. She is a public official. And as a result, it is illegal for this judge to go out of his way to prevent me from having my rights to speak out about the crimes against me. It is illegal for him to do that. Now, as far as all the legal jargon crap that he wanted to put in there, and all the other legal jargon crap, Leslie Snell literally got to win because of being a pretty white girl who works for the sheriff. A pretty blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl who works for the sheriff. It is obvious through that no matter what it is that I said, it wasn't going to be heard by the judge. It was going in one ear and out the other because he had already decided. Now, for him to outright ignore the safety issues, which are specifically what my videos are about, the corruption and the safety issues brought against me by Leslie Snell, abusing her power and abusing her job to try to retaliate against me for doing something that is not illegal. Many people are pissed off that I recorded shit and posted it up, but it shows the truth. Those are their actual words that I posted up. Those are actually their voices speaking those words, including Leslie Snell. Scott DaCosta has allowed and assisted all of my predators to get away with it, including Christopher Kurth, including Robert Warnick, and his deputies helped. And why wouldn't they? Obviously, I had spoken about the situation with Christopher Kurth on multiple occasions and nothing had been done. The man stalked me on multiple occasions, twice, with Leslie Snell's brother-in-law, Carl Snell. That's right, not once, but twice. And then he crossed jurisdictional lines to do so again while I was at Sandy Fromm's. Now, as far as writing it down goes, hell, those conversations are on my YouTube. I can write it down again. The problem is it's not going to do any good unless someone goes in with me. Now, with the corruption in Western Nebraska in the courts, even that probably won't do any good. This judge showed loud and clear through his actions that he had already decided upon my guilt before court. He also knew that what he was doing was illegal. He knew that Leslie Snell, taking it out of context, is against the law. For her to say that she saw the video, but she only saw that part, how did she get to just that part without hearing any of the rest of it? How is that possible? And yes, it is obvious that she was coached in what to say and how to play victim. Her playing victim is not my choice. Me being denied my rights as an American citizen because she wants to pretend to be a victim is another clear violation of my rights. Me being illegally prevented from going to court is another clear violation of my rights. Now, this second court date, there were again safety issues that needed to be addressed. Were they? No, of course they weren't. That's why we need cameras anywhere that at-risk adults are likely to be preyed upon. And that number one on that list is not nursing homes. Number one on that list is the courts, because of the sheer quantity of money that is wasted on incarcerating innocent people who stood up to crooked law enforcement. Now, with Nebraska State Patrol being wishy-washy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, on whether it's their job to investigate or not. Well, that's the thing about the Nebraska Attorney General's office. The Nebraska Attorney General's office are the ones who told me to turn it into the Nebraska State Patrol. Now, the judge, knowing that there was a safety issue with me even being able to travel, let alone the safety issue of having to go into the courthouse with predators like Leslie Snell and Scott DaCosta, and of course, James Hammond, these people have repeatedly broken the law, repeatedly changed the rules based on who it is. They can't investigate anything against me, even with the evidence, and they outright refuse to look at the evidence on multiple occasions. When I was able to get someone to go in with me so that I could show the evidence, I had to show it to an officer who had attempted to threaten, harass, and intimidate me into leaving fucking town. That's Jared Hahn. I tried to turn in Jared Hahn repeatedly to Sheriff DaCosta. And of course, what did Scott DaCosta do to retaliate against me for that? He made it so that that was the deputy who got to send to everything. When I had the situation where I needed to get my things from Amy Kingery and Joshua Rayborn, yes, Jared Hahn is the one that showed up. It was a conflict of interest for any of these officers to have anything to do with this after what they pulled in 2018. By Scott DaCosta's own admission on my YouTube channel, Jordan Anderson did not do his job. He did not write a police report in that incident at my grandmother's funeral. He did not take it seriously. Meanwhile, with Ted Bollinger and his history, with him being on his daughter Alicia Bollinger's account, it showed a very clear safety issue that needed to be rectified. For 7 hours, he gave no indication that Alicia Bollinger was present or safe. And Alicia Bollinger did have my phone number. She called me on the 29th of December after I left the Adams County Sheriff's Department. And later on, Rochelle Shelley Campbell called me from that very same phone. Alicia Bollinger had my number, and Ted Bollinger was asking for my number. If his daughter Alicia was with him, then obviously he didn't have to ask for my number. He could have asked her, and that was a red flag. With Jordan Anderson doing absolutely nothing about it, and with them harassing me wherever I go, absolutely that is a safety issue and it is a safety risk. With people like Tim Beeson and others not only threatening my life, but threatening the lives of my loved ones, yes, I'm going to fucking speak out, and it is not illegal to do so. For Judge Weimer to pretend that I am breaking the law in any way by speaking out about corruption shows that he is involved and taking part in the corruption. For him to go out of his way to take it out of context, and Leslie Snell admitted, or claimed rather, that she didn't watch any of the rest of the video. So obviously, she is going out of her way to cherry pick to play victim. There is no doubt in my mind that if she did watch any part of that video, which is very likely, that she is aware that it was a protest against people making suggestions of killing people. But did that judge want to hear it? No, he didn't care. He very much already had it set in stone how court was going to go before it started. And he outright violated my rights throughout the entire process. On the bright side, he did allow me to speak. But through all of this, he ignored all of the safety concerns that I have. And even though I have access on my YouTube to exactly what it is that Leslie Snell was pretending, I have access to it. Nebraska State Patrol investigated it. Obviously, no charges were brought against me. So, that's a situation for another video. The people that I went to for help, I should not have had to go back to Scott DaCosta when it is Nebraska State Patrol's job to police the police. It is their job nationwide to step in a situation of police corruption. It is not their job to ignore that corruption literally for years. But of course, with Nebraska State Patrol ignoring the crimes against me for years, I don't get to bring that to court. I don't get to show any of the stuff with Scott DaCosta because Nebraska State Patrol would not investigate and did absolutely nothing about a very clear conflict of interest. A lot. They did that until the body camera evidence was gone. They did it long enough that Scott DaCosta was allowed to destroy his body camera evidence. Meanwhile, with Leslie Snell committing crimes and her kids having to hear about it at school, well, guess what? Maybe she should not have committed the crime to begin with. And that right there shows how unsafe it is for a disabled homeless male to try to turn in his predators, especially when they are in positions of power. Right now, one of the city council members is Jared Hahn. Rather than investigate the crimes against me, these people have repeatedly attempted to run me out of town and scare me off. And if it takes a few petty assaults for them to get away with trying to frame me, so be it. If it takes misleading the situation and omitting evidence and outright lying on court paperwork, well, that's just fine by Scott DaCosta and it's fine by Leslie Snell. Or something to that effect, or something to that effect. Really, context is important. The exact wording is important. Now, addressing it as a question is very clearly not a statement of going to do so, especially in a video that is about how wrong it is. I'm not interested in killing anyone named Alex. I'm not interested in killing Mickey Mouse. Of course, Alex is a fictional character, and so is Mickey Mouse, so therefore I could not actually kill them, even if I was threatening to do so. Now, of course, with the recordings all over my YouTube and the fact that I've written it down and turned it in on multiple occasions, well, that really does need to be clearly stated that, yes, they wanted to deny all of my efforts and ignore the safety issues. And that's the thing about them utilizing the civil courts in the way that they did. That's also the issue with Weimer being a dumbass. I record everything. What he did is highly illegal, and it does show misconduct on his part. Thank goodness I recorded it, right? Without someone going into court with me, I had to worry that Scott DaCosta and his deputies were going to pull some more bullshit to prevent me from even going to court. I had to worry that that judge would have me arrested for trying to tell the truth, or that he wouldn't allow me to speak at all. Now, I am sure that he was probably afraid that it was going to possibly be recorded. If not, he's a dumbass. And although it is illegal to record in a courtroom, I was not in a courtroom. The other thing is, it's not illegal to record in a courtroom if you pay to do so. That picture of myself and of Miss Peaches and my court date in Colorado, when I was assaulted by Waylon Lolatai, I needed someone to go in with me. Miss Peaches claimed that she would go in with me, and she never did. I needed to turn in the assault against me by Waylon Lolatai, and because I don't have the money for a lawyer, it magically makes it okay. Meanwhile, who is it that went out of their way to make sure that those GoFundMes that were created for me were shut down? That was Candace Bondurant, who, again, out of context, she wanted to omit most of that conversation. Well, guess what? That conversation was about her throwing me to the wolves when she was threatened, harassed, and intimidated by Michael Beard and by her landlord. She was threatened with harm against her and her children. She was followed and harassed by Michael Beard. So, of course, that's another jurisdiction added to it. Michael Beard should not have harassed Candace Bondurant. Also, the fact that he was outside of her house already when I went outside was both nasty. I had to get rid of that looger or I was going to puke. The more they do these things, the more I speak out. The more I have to speak out. I cannot allow people to threaten, harass, and intimidate me. At some point in your life, you have to stop taking it and make a stand. I left Virginia in 2017 or in 2016. I blocked Natalie and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa. I was done with them. Done. Completely finished with them in my life. with their friends coming up and harass. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say friends because none of these people are real friends. These are Matty Boa's meth customers. And many of them are probably Ted Bollinger's meth customers as well. Where does that meth get trafficked from? It was being trafficked through his barbershop. And he was using children to sell it. What are the chances that Matty Boa is one of the children who was selling meth for Ted Bollinger? They're pretty goddamn good. That also explains why Matty Boa was always hanging out with the two of them. And with them admitting that they were selling drugs for their father at that point in time, it does raise a reasonable suspicion. Now, then there's the fact that the abuse that I am enduring in town, people trying to threaten, harass, intimidate me, and assault me, those are very clear violations of the law. The threats that I have shown are very, very clearly not taken out of context. The threats that I have gone out of my way to try to get law enforcement to do something about are very clearly not taken out of context. See, with me, I'm not cherry picking little bits and pieces. I'm showing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now then there's William Barr, wanting to claim that I admitted to him that I do illegal drugs. Well, with all due respect, marijuana is not illegal in the state that he lives in. Marijuana is not illegal in the state of Colorado. Now, trying drugs over 2 decades ago, and he's trying to use that to discredit me in court. Trying to discredit me by making claims and generalizing Now I want to type something in here. Does Nebraska have internal possession laws? Only on alcohol. All right. Marijuana's just got an S on the end. The state of Nebraska has decriminalized possession of small amounts of cannabis, punishing possession of up to 1 ounce with a $300 citation, but the sale of any amount of marijuana is still felony, with mandatory minimum prison sentences. So, moral of the story, don't sell your pot. Possession under 1 ounce. Now, mind you, how many possessions do I have in the state of Nebraska? Oh yeah, zero. Zero. So, for William Barr to try to insinuate that I am a big major druggie, to try to justify his crimes, is another clear violation of the law. And then him trying to play on his law enforcement position, which, by the way, he no longer has. He is no longer a law enforcement officer. He's trying to play for special sympathy, just like Leslie Snell did with her kids. If she doesn't want me speaking out about the crimes that she committed, she should not have committed them. Plain and simple. With the very clear safety issues and violations perpetrated by Scott DaCosta and his department for the last 5 years, and Nebraska State Patrol turning a blind eye and outright lying to me, telling me that it is not their job to investigate, it absolutely is. That judge very clearly violated the laws and violated the safety risks and issues involved in this situation. Meanwhile, all of the evidence is on my YouTube. But why does it matter if the evidence is there if they're not going to hear it? If no matter what, it's going to be their word versus mine and they automatically win. By pretending that I'm a druggie. How horrible is that? Let's ask a question. If there is someone who is addicted to pharmaceuticals, they're prescribed by a doctor. If they are assaulted, is it magically okay because they're on pharmaceuticals? Or if they are raped, is it magically okay because they're on pharmaceuticals? No, it's not. Matter of fact, it is even more illegal because they're on pharmaceuticals. That also applies to illegal drugs. For somebody to take advantage of Natalie Bollinger while she was on heroin, it's not justified. Matter of fact, it is the opposite. Now, then there's the part where they say, I'm being too general. I'm being too general. Meanwhile, these asshats are being extremely general. What illegal drugs, and are they illegal where I was using them? And what drugs were they? Being forcibly injected with drugs for trying to turn in bad cops, that's not my choice, and that cannot be held against me. That was a very clear violation of the law as well. And that has been shown. Clearview has been shut down for the exact things that I was speaking out about Clearview doing to me. But then again, they had been doing that to many people in Clearview, and nobody was listening to those victims. It wasn't until the parent of one of Clearview's victims spoke up that anybody did a goddamn thing. Yes, I needed someone to speak up and actually fight for my rights because I'm not allowed. None of those patients in there were allowed. Not a single one. What they did to me, they did not just do to me, they did it to other patients in front of me. And then for me to protest these things and to speak out about them, to tell the truth on the internet is not a crime. It's not a crime. Leslie Snell intentionally tried to give my phone number out, knowing that there was a very clear safety issue in doing so, and then wanted to play victim when I said, if you give my number out, I will give yours out. Now, have I given her number out? Actually, the number that I was calling, yes, I've given that number out. It's the number for the Dual County Sheriff's Department. It's not illegal for me to give out the number for the Dual County Sheriff's Department. Matter of fact, I'm going to do so right now. Oh, yes. Dual County Sheriff's Department phone number is, Great Plains Psychiatric Services. Very cool. Maybe I should go see them. Right here. This is from a deputy, Mike Kramer. Badge number 9783, Deputy, Dual County Sheriff's Office. M. Kramer at dualcountysheriff.org, 718 3rd Street, P.O. Box 565, Chapel, Nebraska 69129. This is the contact information for the Dual County Sheriff's Department. Phone number 308-874-3305. Now, where does it go when you call that number? It's the same exact people as 911. The same exact people. If you call 911 in Dual County, and then you call this number in Dual County, you will likely talk to the same person. If it is not the same person, it will at least be someone in that office. So, if you are told to call the Dual County Sheriff's Department, that general number that is on this card goes to the 911 dispatch. That's what this card goes to, 911 dispatch. Meanwhile, they utilized the Cheyenne County Sheriff's Department in these proceedings. So, he was able to utilize multiple jurisdictions to try to cover up his crimes. It is illegal for DaCosta to do this, but we're in western Nebraska. Nobody cares about the law here. They care about popularity. And that is why I speak out. These are very, very clear violations of the law that these people have committed. And Dual County Sheriff Scott DaCosta has himself intentionally left out information in trying to infer things that were not true. Trying to infer that there were over 20 interactions with him. For what reason? What were those interactions over? Why did he not state that? Why did he not state that those interactions were me trying to turn him and his deputies in? There is a reason that he omitted the crimes that he committed. Now, I can't show the assault against me because they waited until I was not being recorded to do so. If I had had my phone on me at the time, I would have done something to record it. There was nobody there with me, which made it easy to victimize me. And they knew that they could get away with it, which is why they perpetrated the crime. Or at least they thought that they were going to get away with it. The problem is, well, the recordings between me and the Dual County Dispatch on that particular night, it shows that I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta over repeated violations of the law by Scott DaCosta, and Nebraska State Patrol very clearly broke the law as well in that situation. I do have her husband's phone number. I have not called it. and I have not given it out. I do have William Barr's phone number. I have not called it. I have not given it out. The problem with these officers and deputies and sheriffs not doing their jobs is that they allowed the actual predators to get away. They allowed the people who threatened, harassed, and assaulted me and threatened bodily harm, including death, against my family and my loved ones. And because of a goddamn popularity contest, they wouldn't do their fucking jobs. This is why we have the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is to protect us from tyrants, from tyranny, from very obviously Nazi actions. No Jew should have to go to Heinrich Himmler to turn in the SS. Now, of course, I probably could have made this video in this tone of voice. I very easily could have spoken quietly and calmly and collectively, as I do in many of my videos. But the fact is, when I speak calmly and collectively, people do not take it as a serious situation. It is a very serious situation. Leslie Snell and her husband could shoot me and play victim, play like they were afraid of me. Do you know why I want to get rid of my airsoft rifles? These are not real firearms. I want to get rid of them so that if the Dual County Sheriff's Office decides that they're going to come in and fucking shoot me, that they can't use that as an excuse. That they can't come in with their body cameras off, blast me, and then put an airsoft rifle in my hands and claim I was pointing it at them. William Barr tried to use his children to hide behind and pretend like I was threatening his family. Like I was threatening bodily harm and open-ended threats against his family. Absolutely not. I threatened him with court. You damn right I did. For him to do the immoral things that he did and feel that it's okay for him to get away with those things, for him to tell me when I'm actually being threatened, actually being assaulted, and actually have people threatening to kill me, people actually assaulting me, people actually threatening my family, and he tells me to give it to God. Did he give it to God? No, he played victim. And of course, as a former police officer, he has that 6-week training in how to murder people and get away with it. Just like Scott DaCosta. Also, there's the fact that William Barr admitted to me that he killed people. Yes, I do have to be afraid of people who are telling me that they killed people. I do have to be afraid of people like that, especially when they are trying to hide the crimes of other officers and to manipulate me and assist in the gaslighting and the stonewalling. I went to William Barr for help because crimes were repeatedly committed against me. And what did William Barr do? He played victim and then tried to make himself out to be some fancy hero. Meanwhile, he has admitted that he is ashamed of himself for killing people. But the fact is, he has it in him to kill people. And I do very much have to be afraid of people like that. It is scary enough listening to people say that if they were in this situation, that they would kill people or that they would assault people. But it's even scarier when someone is telling you that they have killed people. Meanwhile, if he is ashamed of what he did and he's going to court because he feels bad about, or going to church because he feels bad about what he did. Well, here's the thing. I don't feel bad about what I did. I don't feel bad about telling the truth. I don't feel bad for defending myself. I don't feel bad for speaking out about people threatening and harassing and assaulting me, and also assaulting others and killing others. I don't feel bad about speaking out about how wrong those things are. I shouldn't feel bad. I shouldn't have to feel bad, and I shouldn't be treated like I should feel bad for speaking out about that. There are things that I have done that I am ashamed of, but I have admitted all of those things. Trying to find something to clean out underneath my fingernails. It's been bugging me the whole video. This will work. Take this and fold it in half and use it for digging it out. Now we have somebody who posted over here on the right hand side. What do we do with these people? This is a spammer, not a troll. But we can hide user on this channel. Very good. This channel is about doing something about missing people, doing something about corruption. And I will not be ashamed. It's about showing the truth, about not hiding things. If I'm having a meltdown, I do have my meltdowns online. Not all of them. Some of them I am, well, too distraught or scared to even function. I've laid on the floor for hours because I couldn't move. That's how bad it is. Now, for these people to instigate these situations, to go out of their way repeatedly to break the law to prevent me from turning them in, well, that shows exactly why we all need someone there and with us and present in person. Yeah. All right, folks. Keep on speaking out. Keep on fighting the good fight. The Second Amendment, we get to hear all these Second Amendment guys talking about Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. They're not exercising that right. And if they are, they're exercising it in the wrong way. They are using those guns as tools for intimidating others. Not intimidating the government, but intimidating the rest of the population. I am for the Second Amendment being used properly. The Second Amendment is there literally to scare the government. The Second Amendment exists to scare people like this into actually doing their jobs. Me choosing not to own or possess a firearm, that is a personal choice. Just because I do not choose to own a firearm, for safety reasons, mind you, it's not that I am unsafe with them, it's that others are unsafe with them. And also, other people could potentially use them as an excuse to harm me or to kill me. So, not having a firearm is a personal choice. That does not mean that I do not wholeheartedly support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is supposed to support the First Amendment. And what I am doing here is exercising my First Amendment.